the most influential Stoic philosophers in history. Stoicism is more than a philosophy. It is a way of life, a mindset, a practical guide for facing challenges, embracing virtues, and living meaningfully. While Stoicism was born in ancient Greece, its influence has reached across centuries, cultures, and continents. At the heart of this philosophical movement are the thinkers who shaped it, men who lived with conviction, who practiced what they taught, and whose writings and legacies continue to inspire millions today. Let us explore the lives and ideas of the most prominent Stoic philosophers in history. From merchants and slaves to emperors and statesmen, the diverse backgrounds of these individuals show that Stoicism is for everyone, regardless of status or circumstance. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism. Our journey begins with Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism. Born in what is now Cyprus, Zeno was a merchant by trade. According to ancient sources, his path to philosophy began after a shipwreck left him stranded in Athens. With nothing left but his curiosity and determination, he wandered into a bookshop and began reading about Socrates. Inspired, he sought out philosophers and soon began studying under the Cynics and Megarians. But Zeno had his own vision. He began teaching his philosophy at a place called the Painted Porch, or Stoa Poikile, in Athens. From that location came the name of the school, Stoicism. Zeno's ideas were grounded in the belief that virtue is the only true good, and that we must live in accordance with nature. He emphasized logic, ethics, and self-control. While most of his original writings have been lost, his influence was enormous. He laid the foundation for all Stoic thinkers who came after him. Cleanthes, the poet of Stoicism. Zeno's student and successor was Cleanthes, a man known for his strength, both physical and philosophical. He reportedly supported himself as a water carrier while studying philosophy, earning him the nickname the well-bucket philosopher. Cleanthes is perhaps best remembered for his work, Hymn to Zeus, a poetic tribute to divine reason and the order of the universe. Unlike some philosophers who argued against religion, Cleanthes saw the divine as a rational principle that governs all things, a central theme in Stoicism. Though not as systematized in logic as his teacher, Cleanthes carried forward the spiritual heart of Stoicism and emphasized endurance, gratitude, and devotion to the natural order. Chrysippus, the systematizer of Stoicism. Next comes Chrysippus, a pivotal figure in Stoic history. Often called the second founder of Stoicism, Chrysippus was a brilliant logician who solidified the structure of Stoic philosophy. He wrote hundreds of works, many of which tried to clarify and defend Stoic doctrines against critics. Where Zeno laid the foundation and Cleanthes added poetic depth, Chrysippus gave Stoicism its intellectual rigor. He expanded on ethics, logic, and physics, creating a robust framework that could compete with other schools of thought like the Epicureans and skeptics. Although most of his writings are lost, later Stoics built on his ideas. Without Chrysippus, Stoicism might never have survived as a coherent system. Seneca, the statesman philosopher. Now we move to the Roman world, where Stoicism took on new life. One of the most well-known Stoics in history is Lucius Annaeus Seneca, better known simply as Seneca. Seneca was a playwright, essayist, and advisor to Emperor Nero. His life was filled with contradiction. He preached moderation while surrounded by wealth, advised a cruel emperor while writing about virtue. Yet his writings are filled with wisdom, introspection, and practical advice. In his letters and essays, Seneca taught that philosophy is not just for the classroom, it is for life. He urged people to confront death, control desire, and use reason to guide action. His famous letters to Lucilius are packed with insights on anger, fear, time, and self-discipline. Seneca's honesty about his own struggles makes him relatable even today. He did not pretend to be perfect. Instead, he encouraged continual improvement, daily reflection, and courage in the face of adversity. Epictetus, the slave who became a teacher. If Seneca showed that Stoicism could live in a palace, Epictetus proved it could also thrive in a prison. Born into slavery, Epictetus suffered under harsh conditions. He was reportedly crippled by his master, but eventually gained his freedom. Afterward, he devoted his life to philosophy and began teaching in Rome before relocating to Greece when philosophers were banished from the capital. Epictetus did not write his teachings down. What we know of his ideas comes from his student Arrian, who compiled the Discourses and the Enchiridion, or Handbook. Epictetus taught that freedom lies in the mind. We cannot control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. He emphasized discipline, humility, and the importance of focusing only on what is within our power. His teachings are direct, often stern, but deeply compassionate. He reminds us that external things, fame, wealth, health, are not ours to keep. Only our character is truly ours. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor. Perhaps the most famous Stoic of all is Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor whose personal journal, Meditations, remains one of the most influential books ever written. Marcus ruled one of the largest empires in history during times of war, plague, and political unrest. Yet he sought wisdom, not power. His writings are a window into the soul of a man trying to stay virtuous in a world filled with temptation, loss, and uncertainty. In Meditations, Marcus reflects on duty, death, self-discipline, and the nature of humanity. He reminds himself to stay humble, to be kind even to difficult people, and to keep his actions in line with reason and justice. What makes Marcus so compelling is that his words were never meant for publication. They were notes to himself, honest, raw, and deeply reflective. They show a man who, despite immense responsibility, still struggled with anger, fear, and doubt, but kept striving for virtue. Why these thinkers still matter today. What links all these Stoic philosophers together is their commitment to virtue, reason, and inner strength. Whether born into privilege or poverty, they each sought to live wisely and teach others to do the same. Their writings remain relevant because they deal with timeless human concerns: how to handle pain, how to manage emotions, how to stay grounded in a chaotic world. They remind us that true peace doesn't come from external success, but from aligning our lives with reason and integrity. In the modern world, where distraction, stress, and uncertainty are constant companions, the words of Zeno, Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus offer a steady compass. They do not promise an easy life, but they offer a meaningful one. Conclusion: learning from the Stoic legacy. The Stoic philosophers did not always live easy lives. They faced exile, betrayal, slavery, war, and death. But through it all, they remained committed to a central idea: that virtue is enough, that we can endure hardship with dignity, that we can choose our response, no matter the circumstance. By studying their lives and their teachings, we can draw strength for our own journey. Whether we are facing daily frustrations or major life upheavals, Stoicism gives us a framework, a way to act, reflect, and grow. In the end, these philosophers remind us that the greatest victory is not over the world, but over ourselves.